You ever see the flashing blue and red of squad cars light up your backyard barn like it's a primetime TV sting? Except it's not Friday night. It's just another Tuesday? Because that's exactly how my evening started, with two county deputies crouched behind open car doors, hands on their holsters like I was some desperado, and a bullhorn crackling. Step away from the illegal structure and put the tool down. Yeah, that happened. But me? I wasn't hiding. I was right there under the floodlight, tightening a bolt on my brand new, fully permitted grain silo, not looking scared, just kind of annoyed if I'm being honest. Out on the gravel drive, the star of this little HOA reality show, Lynette Harlow, was practically levitating with righteous fury. Arms crossed, wedge sandals planted in my great-granddad's old tire tracks, laminated HOA badge glowing like some kind of cursed amulet in the cruiser's lights. "He's been warned," she squawked to the sergeant. He refused to comply with the architectural committee. "This is a direct violation of our sightline covenants." The sergeant gave her this squinta look, glanced over at my faded crow family farm. Established 1924, sign still hanging crooked by the porch, then just kind of sighed. "Ma'am, this is clearly a farm," he started, but Lynette snapped right back. It was a farm. Now it's part of Maple Ridge Estates, Phase 2. He doesn't get special treatment, just 'cause his ancestors were here first. I just flipped a switch. Every security camera on my porch swiveled to face the crowd. HOA board, deputies, nosy neighbors. A blinking red light on a taped-up legal notice said, "Audio and video recording in progress. By entering, you consent." You could feel the shift in the air. I wiped my hands on a rag, strolled right up to the property line, and raised my voice. "Sergeant, before you step on my land, you'll want to read that court order you were served this morning." The sergeant paused, hand going in his chest pocket. Lynette looked triumphant, right up until he unfolded that paper. He read it once, then again, his face kind of falling as he took in the cameras, the legal notice, the line of HOA folks behind him. "Ah, hell," he muttered. "We just walked into a setup." I shrugged. Not a setup, a trap. There's a legal distinction. My lawyer says that matters. Now, let me back up a sec, because you gotta understand how we got to this little showdown. About 6 months earlier, my whole world fit on a vision board. Take back my family's 100-year-old farm before developers paved it over with cul-de-sacs, patched the barn roof, and above all, be left alone. 34, single, quiet, the kind of guy who wore flannel because he liked it, not because it was trendy. My social life? Mostly tractors, not group chats. But out here in Riverside County, the old farm fields were disappearing, replaced by communities with names like Fox Hollow Reserve and Cedar Creek Cottages. Never mind there's not a fox, or a real creek, or a cottage in sight. My grandparents had to sell off most of the land in the late 90s just to pay hospital bills, and the rest got flipped and carved up until Maple Ridge Estates popped up, 220 homes, ornamental maples, and an HOA with a handbook that had more rules than the DMV. Still, the heart of the old place, the farmhouse, barn, and 10 scrappy acres, stayed in the family, but just barely. When my uncle's gambling debts nearly took that too, I cashed out everything, savings, retirement, the whole bit, and bought it. Walked into closing with a cashier's check and an old black and white photo of my great-granddad in front of the barn. The title lady slid me the keys and said, "Congratulations. You're now the proud owner of Crow Farm. Technically, you're a non-participating agricultural neighbor to Maple Ridge." Non-participating sounds perfect, I told her. I'm real talented at not participating. Moved in the next day. Met Lynette by the end of week 1. She showed up on my porch, all bleach blonde bob and yoga pants, toting a binder thick enough to stun an ox. "I'm Lynette Harlow, president of the Maple Ridge Estates, HOA, and you area bit of a problem," she announced. "Name's Daniel," I said, not bothering to wipe the dirt off my hands. "And I live here." She looked me up and down, boots to ball cap. "Our community prides itself on visual harmony. Buyers see your rustic structures, it can hurt property values." I just nodded at the barn. "That's 100 years of harmony right there. We're willing to be reasonable," she continued. "You can submit changes to the Architectural Review Board, and in exchange we'll allow you access to amenities." I laughed. "Ma'am, I've got a field, a creek, and no neighbors breathing down my neck. I'm good on amenities. She did not like that. Her smile stiffened. Sir, you don't understand how this works. Oh, I do, I said, leaning on my porch post. You're the HOA. I'm the guy not in your HOA. That's how this works. Her eyes narrowed. We'll see. And that's when the real fun started. First, the letters, courtesy notices about visible farm machinery, request to stop using heavy equipment after 6 p.m., even a whole page on community dumpster etiquette. Never mind my dumpster was half a mile from their postage stamp yards. Every letter threatened fines or legal action. I tossed them in a kitchen drawer labeled compostable threats. Next came the spying. Caught Lynette and 2 board members on the HOA walking trail, phones up like they were spotting a rare animal. When I waved, she ducked behind a maple. Then animal control rolled up. We got a report of neglected livestock, the officer said, eyeing my overfed chickens. Neglected? I asked. He read from his tablet. Animals in non-code compliant structures. My chickens clucked indignantly from their fancy coop. After a tour, the officer shook his head. Everything's fine. Honestly, I've seen 4-H kids with worse setups. On his way out, he muttered, I hate HOA weekends. It didn't stop. Code enforcement came. Fire marshal, too. Even a baby-faced zoning guy from the county who looked 12. All of them left more annoyed at whoever kept calling in bogus complaints than at me. And every notice traced back to the HOA office, filed by L. Harlow, representing Maple Ridge Estates. Fine, I thought. You want to play legal? Let's play. I dug through my deed, the zoning code, even the whole HOA handbook. Then I found it, a dusty old county rule called the Agricultural Heritage Preservation Act. It protected century-old family farms from nuisance claims by new neighbors, so long as you could prove historical use. Crow Farm, established 1924. It was 2024. That 100-year badge might as well have been a shield. I called Miguel A.O., land use lawyer. He laughed, delighted. You, my friend, are about to become every HOA's worst nightmare. Legally untouchable and mildly petty. We filed for heritage farm status. I dug up photos, tax records, even my great-great-grandma's egg ledger for 1937. 3 months later, the county stamped it, heritage agricultural property. Game changed. Or it should have. Lynette did not get the memo. A week later, I got a certified letter. Not from the HOA, but from the Maple Ridge Estates Architectural Control Committee Incorporated, some shell company she filed. It claimed my barn violated subdivision sightline agreements, and that there was an aesthetic easement supposedly signed by my grandfather, giving the HOA oversight. Except that signature looked all wrong. Too smooth, too pretty. My granddad's handwriting was more chicken scratch than cursive. So I went down to the county recorder's office. The clerk checked. No such easement, she said. Never recorded. Doesn't exist. I sent a photo to Miguel, who nearly cackled. They forged an easement. Meanwhile, Lynette was making noise on Facebook, telling everyone I was running some kind of illegal operation, that my barn was a safety hazard, that my new silo, still just blueprints, was unpermitted construction. She even filed a formal complaint with the sheriff, attaching her fake easement, HOA incident reports, and a wild claim I'd threatened board members with a tool, a wrench, during repairs. When the deputies came, I was ready. Clear signs at every entrance. Heritage agricultural property. Area under video and audio surveillance. Body cam on, security cameras rolling. The conversation with the deputies was calm, boring, and absolutely devastating for Lynette. They left with copies of my permits, the heritage certificate, Miguel's card, and a polite note about HOA rules stopping at their fence line. But, as Miguel pointed out, false reports to law enforcement? That's a crime, especially when you back it up with forged documents. Can we nail her for it? I asked. He grinned. We can do better. We document it. Then let internal affairs and the state attorney do the nailing. So I played it by the book. Applied for permits for the silo, reinforced the barn, paid every fee. Miguel quietly sent every permit to the sheriff and county attorney. A note attached. If anyone claims these are illegal, they're lying. Please route HOA complaints here for ongoing investigation. Then I waited. 11 days later, here comes the main event. The night the whole circus rolled up. I'm out working, see HOA flashlights bouncing down my driveway, then a county cruiser behind them, engine idling. Lynette was already barking at the officers, folder in hand. Officers, over here. He's in the act right now. Unauthorized construction. Shut it down before someone gets hurt. The sergeant stepped out, tired but polite. Evening, ma'am. Evening, Mr. Crow. I nodded. Lynette shoved her folder at him. This proves we have authority. He's been aggressive, defiant, ma'am. The sergeant started, but Lynette pushed right past him under the yellow contractor tape, heels snapping. This area is dangerous. I'm ordering a stop work. Ma'am, the sergeant barked, stepped back behind the tape. She glared. Don't you raise your voice at me. I'm a legal representative of Maple Ridge. You're here 'cause I called you. The younger deputy looked at the porch, saw the blinking camera lights and the big envelope taped up. To responding officers, permits, and court order. Open before entry. Sarge, he muttered. We were supposed to read that first. They did. Inside, copies of my permits, my heritage designation, Miguel's letter, and a brand new court order. Law enforcement may not interfere with permitted work on Crow Farm unless there's clear evidence of danger. HOA complaints? Treated as disputed, all interactions recorded. The sergeant's face went pale. Mrs. Harlow, did you read this? She waved him off. I'm not here to litigate. You have your paperwork. I have mine. She whipped out her fake easement, brandishing it like Excalibur. This supersedes some farm vanity certificate. Arrest him for ignoring lawful HOA directives. The sergeant stared at her, then quietly spoke into his radio. Dispatch, confirm internal affairs and county attorney are monitoring this call. The radio crackled, affirmative. You could almost feel Lynette's confidence wobble. Mrs. Harlow, he said, I've been told to ask a specific question. Are you, as HOA president, asserting you have a legally recorded easement granting you control over this property? Yes, of course, she huffed. And are you aware that the county says no such easement exists? Her mouth opened, closed. It must be an administrative error, she stammered. So this document you're holding, you know it's not recorded, and the supposed signer disputes it. Are you interrogating me? She snapped. Someone cleared their throat on the radio. Unit 12, county attorney here. Please advise Mrs. Harlow she's dangerously close to admitting to filing a knowingly false instrument and making fraudulent reports. You could hear a pin drop. The board members started inching away. Neighbors on the trail leaned in. Mrs. Harlow, I'm going to ask you to step out of the work zone. You're not under arrest, but this is now part of an ongoing criminal investigation. What? She gasped. He's the criminal. Ma'am, the sergeant pointed at my permits, the heritage plaque, the blinking red light. His rules are backed by state law. Yours are backed by stationery. After that, well, the fallout was fast and loud. Internal Affairs opened a case into the HOA's bogus calls. The county attorney kicked the forged document up to the state AG. The local paper ran a front-page story. Heritage farm owner says HOA tried to annex land. State investigates forgery claims. Lynette tried to spin it, said the developer misled her, called it an administrative misunderstanding. But the recordings and complaint history told the real story. She'd repeatedly lied, pressured officers, forged an easement, and weaponized her HOA badge. The state charged her, filing a false report, attempting to file a forged instrument, harassment. No dramatic handcuffs. This isn't TV, but she turned herself in, mugshot and all, had to sit through arraignment with reporters scribbling away. The judge fined her $12,000, gave her 120 hours of community service, and banned her from any HOA board for a decade. When he read the sentence, her face went white. $12,000? She squeaked. For trying to protect property values? The judge peered over his glasses. No, ma'am, for harassment, filing false reports, and wasting law enforcement's time with forged documents. There's a difference. Lynette just sat there, shaking, staring at those legal papers like they were in a language she'd never seen. So here's my question for you. Where's the line between protecting a neighborhood and bullying your neighbor? Have you ever dealt with an HOA like that? Or maybe you are that neighbor fighting for your rights? Drop your stories below, and let's talk about what justice really means, who's right, who's wrong, and whether any of us would have done the same. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Trust me, I want to hear your war stories, because in HOA land, sometimes the only way to win is to outlast the storm. 11.